Episode 1 of Wednesday Season 2 starts with Wednesday tied up in a serial killer's basement. She's been following this killer for the past few months, and Wednesday has been spending her summer trying to master her psychic abilities. Goody's book of spells certainly comes in handy. Wednesday believes she has it under control and sets out to locate the Kansas City scalper. She has been obsessed with him since she was 6 years old, and thanks to her psychic abilities and help from the killer's 11th victim, she's able to find the guy. Ever the determined girl, Wednesday flies to Kansas to confront the killer. When she touches the killer, her psychic abilities lead her to shed black tears and pass out. This is how she ends up in the guy's basement, tied up in the company of his eerie dolls. With Thing's help, Wednesday manages to free herself and take down the killer. After handling the killer, Wednesday swears Thing to secrecy that he won't tell Morticia about her black tears. Wednesday figures she can find the answers in Goody's book, but unfortunately Goody never actually mentions such a phenomenon. A few days later, the Addams family travels to Nevermore to drop Wednesday and her brother off for the new school year. Pugsley has grown since we last saw him, and his electric powers have also gotten stronger. As they see off the kids, Morticia asks Wednesday to look after her brother, while Gomez encourages Pugsley to try and fit in. Elsewhere, we see a man taking pictures of a couple kissing when suddenly he's attacked by crows, and he rushes to his car. He calls someone and tells the other party that the evidence is safe at the bullpen, but shortly after the call, the birds happen to be in the back and they kill him. Unfortunately for Wednesday, her heroic acts have made her something of a celebrity at school. The new headmaster introduces himself and asks her to be the student of honour at the Founders Pyre ceremony. Wednesday immediately turns him down though. At the dorm, Enid and her wolf pack warmly welcome her back. Enid is slightly touched by Wednesday's gift of the odd doll. As expected, Enid is anxious to talk about the summer holiday, and unlike her though, Wednesday couldn't care less about catching up. Still, she allows Enid to bore her with the details of her summer. Ajax drops by, but Enid avoids him. With all the new changes in her life, Enid is not sure she still likes Ajax. However, she doesn't know how to tell him this. As they talk, Wednesday's stalker sends a little welcome gift. Wednesday tries to get a psychic read from the picture the stalker sent, but gets nothing. The efforts cause her to shed black tears again, while Morticia and Gomez take Pugsley to his dorm. As luck would have it, Pugsley happens to be sharing a room with Eugene. Now Ajax is their new resident advisor and helps him settle in. Before Morticia and Gomez can leave, Principal Dorr asks Morticia to chair the gala fundraising committee. It used to be chaired by Vincent Thorpe, but he quit after his son was accused of murder. With Xavier no longer a Nevermore student, the post is now open. Dorr allows Morticia and Gomez to spend the night at the gardener's cottage. It was previously inhabited by Marilyn Thornhill, but she is now in jail. He gives them time to think about his offer and promises to let them stay at the cottage if they take him up on his offer. Obviously, Morticia is considering the offer as her new chapter. She promises Wednesday to only consider it if she's okay with it, and she suggests sticking around until Wednesday's new guide shows up. Wednesday doesn't think it will work as they are very different, so she suggests Morticia focus on Pugsley instead, but is intrigued when her mum mentions her sister Ophelia. Ophelia, like Wednesday, was actually a raven. On the way to school, Wednesday comes across a crime scene. The man killed by the birds was a local private investigator by the name of Bradbury. Wednesday notices an odd man at the scene and follows him into the woods. The man turns out to be Galpin. The victim was a former friend and they were working on a case together, and he asked for Wednesday's help to try and solve this case. Later that night, Ajax tells the new dorm members the story of the boy with a metal heart. As legend has it, the boy was born sickly with a fragile heart. However, he was a genius and designed his own heart. Sadly, the clockwork heart changed the boy as he became cold and ambitious. The boy soon enrolled at Nevermore and developed more dangerous inventions. With time, he became one of the greatest minds at Nevermore. Unfortunately, his ambition led to his death, and he was buried under the skull tree in an unmarked grave. According to legend, if you get close enough, you can still hear his clockwork heart beating. For some reason, this story intrigues Pugsley, and he decides to go and take a look. In the meantime, Dort summons Bianca and offers her a leadership position as the fundraising gala student liaison. Bianca turns his offer down, and he threatens to end her scholarship. He gives her a day to think about her options. In the dorm, Enid bonds with Thing and helps him fit in. She builds him a little home in their room, and when Wednesday arrives at the dorm, she immediately turns back when she sees Enid wolfing out with her pack. She goes to the music room, and as she plays her cello, we see Dort looking at the former headmistress's portrait, Pugsley looking for the skull tree on a map, and Galpin sleeping on a sofa. Wednesday's music is interrupted by the new music teacher, Capri. Now Capri is a music genius and advises Wednesday to give in to the chaos of the music. Wednesday doesn't appreciate the advice and eventually leaves. The following morning, Dort shows Morticia around as they prepare for the pyre event. A few students are using their powers to create a wooden pyre, and Bianca shows up and agrees to Dort's terms. Meanwhile, Wednesday receives a letter and a portrait of a crow from Xavier. He believes the crow is connected to Wednesday, but just then, Wednesday realizes that her novel is actually missing, and the stalker left her a poem. The poem suggests that the stalker plans to bury Wednesday's manuscript at the pyre. Enid covers for Wednesday as she tries to get her only manuscript back. Wednesday finds another poem near the pyre though, and the stalker asks her to meet under the pyre if she wants to save her novel. Ajax distracts Enid here, trying to understand what's happening between the two, but Enid manages to quickly lose him. The pyre festival officially starts with Capri leading the school in a song. Dort later takes the stage and announces a new era where Outcast will thrive at Nevermore. He bans the Nightshades and challenges all students to step up. He starts the bonfire without knowing Wednesday is actually under the pyre, but thankfully Wednesday finds her novel in time and crawls out before it burns to a cinder. Dort introduces her as the student of honor and thanks her for her bravery. He unveils a weird portrait of Wednesday and her friends to commemorate how they saved Nevermore. He welcomes Wednesday to give a speech, and in true Wednesday fashion, she burns the portrait and declares herself no hero. She clarifies that she's actually selfish and asks not to be put on a pedestal. Her actions annoy Enid, who thinks it was too much. Back in the woods though, Pugsley finds the skull tree and accidentally shocks the Clockwork Heart. A zombie-like monster crawls out from the earth, and Pugsley watches with morbid fascination. As the episode comes to an end, Enid tries to slow Wednesday down. As soon as she touches Wednesday's shoulder though, her friend has another psychic vision, and this time she sees Enid's gravestone and Enid's ghost blaming her death on Wednesday. Episode 2 of Wednesday Season 2 starts with Wednesday regaining consciousness. Morticia is disappointed because Wednesday kept the Black Tears a secret, and she tells Wednesday that it's actually a sign that she is abusing her powers. Now Wednesday is disappointed that Thing told Morticia about Goody's book. Morticia asks Wednesday to be patient and wait for a new guide, but sadly Wednesday refuses, saying she has no time to waste, especially after her last vision. Morticia insists that her ability is not a weapon but actually a gift, but Wednesday refuses to listen. On her way back to school, Wednesday drops by Galpin's house. Surprisingly, she finds him dead, and he happens to be another victim of the crows. She tries to find some evidence before the police arrive, but fails to do so, and her psychic abilities also fail her too. Now the police are led by Sheriff Santiago, who arrives and arrests Wednesday. As Santiago brings Wednesday to the station and tries to question her, as she's curious about Galpin's missing phone. Now Wednesday says nothing, as she believes Tyler might have killed his dad. The sheriff insists that Tyler is still locked away, and Gomez shows up as Wednesday's lawyer and manages to bail her out. On the drive back, Gomez seeks some answers from Wednesday. Wednesday is disappointed to hear that her parents will be staying, as she thinks her mum is worried she will end up like Ophelia. However, Gomez refuses to shed light on what happened to Morticia's sister. The following day, Eugene learns that Pugsley brought back to life the boy from the legend. Now Pugsley is keeping the monster in Eugene's bee shed for the time being, and they decide to call the monster Slurp. As for Wednesday, she tries to find answers in Goody's book. She asks Thing to keep the loss of her abilities and Enid's impending doom a secret. Upon arriving at the dorm though, Wednesday finds Enid lying in a pool of blood with her throat slashed. It turns out to be a prank since it's officially prank day, and Enid thinks Wednesday left an eyeball on her pillow. However, Wednesday didn't. It's most likely another gift from the stalker. As they talk, the stalker sends a message to Enid, and they call the number back and get Galpin's voicemail. Enid is shocked that Wednesday is already caught in another murder mystery, and the latter suggests that it might be better for Enid to stay in the room while she figures things out. She tries to get a psychic read from the eyeball, but gets nothing. In the meantime, Ajax watches Enid getting cozy with Bruno. Pugsley and Eugene help him get revenge on Bruno, and the other students continue to enjoy their prank day without a care in the world. Wednesday approaches Dort and a fellow teacher to ask about outcasts who can control birds. The teacher says that such outcasts are called avian, but they haven't been in Nevermore for years. Bianca meets with Morticia as a gala fundraising student liaison. The two talk about Wednesday, and the conversation turns to their complicated relationships with their mums. Bianca suggests that Morticia could reach out to her mum and ask for a donation. However, Morticia refuses to call her mum. Back at school, Slurp breaks free from his chains and escapes. Wednesday steals Enid's driver ed consent form, and she uses the opportunity to get a ride to Willow Hill. Now Morticia drops by the dorm and scolds Thing for keeping them in the dark, but Thing counters by saying they treat him like a servant. Morticia apologizes and takes Goody's book. As for Wednesday, she traumatizes the poor driving school teacher as she drives to Willow Hill. And at Willow Hill, she meets with Dr. Fairburn, Tyler's psychiatrist. Now Fairburn knew Wednesday would visit sooner or later, but she's been unable to make a breakthrough with Tyler, making Thornhill rather unforthcoming. Thornhill is in a different facility and Fairburn needs Wednesday's help. The meeting with Tyler goes about as well as expected. He thinks Wednesday senses darkness and fell for it, and according to Tyler, Wednesday got lucky but not because she's smart. Now Wednesday breaks the news of Galpin's death, but Tyler refuses to help. Instead, he threatens to kill Enid when he gets free. This provokes Wednesday and she belittles him, and in turn, Tyler loses his cool and nearly turns into his monster self. At school, Eugene informs Pugsley of Slurp's escape. Enid finds a package for Thing, and she's saddened when she realizes the Addams family forgot Thing's birthday. As she comforts him, someone locks Thing in his little house and kidnaps Enid and Bruno. Meanwhile, Dot orders Bianca to use her siren powers on Morticia to get her to ask her mother for a donation. It turns out Bianca can't use her gifts on Dot thanks to a relic he carries with him. In the evening, Wednesday gets to the dorm to find Thing locked in and Enid gone. The stalker calls Wednesday and gives her 30 minutes to find Enid and Bruno alive. Outside her door, Wednesday finds a clue. On her way to save Enid, Wednesday runs into Capri. Now Capri invites Wednesday to join her orchestra for the gala, but Wednesday turns down the offer. Capri insists though, and a conversation gives Wednesday a clue on how to find Enid. She heads to the music room and plays the note on the clue card, and a random mystery door opens up. Wednesday and Thing walk through it, but someone else is following them. They can't see who it is though, and the passage leads to the closed Diego Tower, where Enid and Bruno are chained up. While waiting to be saved, Enid and Bruno try to free themselves before a set of knives fall on their heads. Enid knows they are in this situation because of Wednesday, but she doesn't blame her. Finally, Wednesday arrives and figures out the answer to the clue. She barely manages to save Enid and Bruno in time, and the stalker reveals herself to be another fan of Wednesday. Thanks to her invisibility abilities, she has been able to pull such a scheme to get Wednesday's attention. Enid is unimpressed by Agnes's antics though. Elsewhere, Bianca visits Morticia and uses her powers to convince the latter to call her mum. Later, Wednesday apologizes to Thing for forgetting his birthday and gives him a gift. She's pissed to learn her mum took the goodie book though, and outside the window a crow keeps tabs on Wednesday. And then the episode ends with Slurp attacking the driving school teacher and killing him. Episode 3 of Wednesday Season 2 starts with Morticia and Gomez hiring a massage therapist for Thing. They feel guilty for forgetting his birthday, and Morticia is also distressed about contacting her mum for the fundraising gala. She doesn't really want to deal with her, and Gomez is, as always, the ever-supportive husband. To distract Morticia, he asks her to dance. As they slowly get into a romantic mood, Morticia senses Wednesday sneaking into the house to find Goody's book. She finds Wednesday ransacking her room, and Wednesday explains her concern after a vision of Enid's death. She pleads her case to get Goody's book back, but Morticia stands her ground. She reminds Wednesday that her visions are unreliable, but Wednesday insists she is a master of her ability. Morticia though worries she is turning into Ophelia, and unlike her mum, Morticia doesn't plan to fail her daughter. The following day, Wednesday decides to focus on solving the case without Goody's book. Meanwhile, Enid frets about her outfits for the governing camping trip, and she's hoping Wednesday will join, but her roommate has other plans. She wants to solve the case before Enid finds out she's in danger. Now Agnes rudely interrupts and offers to help, but once again Wednesday pushes her away. Elsewhere, Slurp returns to Eugene's bee house, and Pugsley gets excited to see that Slurp is regenerating and growing a brain. He's unaware that Slurp has a taste for human brains though, and keeps feeding him sandwiches. Eugene suggests they tell someone else about Slurp, but Pugsley refuses. He doesn't want Slurp to be taken away, and he already has a plan to watch Slurp when they go camping. As for Wednesday, she attends Galpin's funeral, and it's a mildly sad affair with only 2 mourners. Sheriff Santiago warns Wednesday to stay away from trouble. However, Fairburn is more forthcoming with information. She tells Wednesday that when Galpin visited Tyler, the Hyde in him came out in pure rage. Wednesday mentions the killer may be an avian, and Fairburn assures her that they have no avian patients or staff at Willow Hill. Well, that sounds convincing, doesn't it? At the local inn, Bianca uses her siren abilities to hide her mum. Things are taking a turn for the worse for the company, and Bianca has been helping her mum get away from the Birdsong legal mess. The FBI is currently looking for Gideon, and Bianca and her mum need to stay low until he's actually in custody. With Agnes's help, Wednesday unlocks Galpin's phone and listens to Bradbury's last voicemail. She finds a clue on there about the bullpen in the things Agnes stole from Galpin's house before the police got there. It turns out the bullpen is a few miles from the camping site. With no other choice, Wednesday decides to tag along for the camping trip. Enid is beside herself with excitement when she sees Wednesday. However, Dort grows suspicious of Wednesday's sudden change. Ajax continues to fix things with Enid. Unfortunately, she does her best to ignore him, and she's also unhappy that Agnes is joining the camping trip. Capri worries the trip will go sideways since it's a full moon and the Wolfgang will wolf out. At the camping site, the students set up their tents. Pugsley secretly brings Slurp with him, while Morticia and Gomez join the trip as chaperones. Gomez is hoping they will bond with their kids and make the trip a family affair. Sadly, neither Wednesday nor Pugsley want to spend time with their parents. Morticia refuses to return Goody's book to Wednesday and asks Gomez to support her decision. In the meantime, Pugsley sets a trap in case Slurp escapes from their tent. Ahead of the camping festivities, Dort gives an impassioned speech about outcast pride. Ron Kruger, a cadet master, interrupts his speech though. It seems the camping site was double booked, and Ron demands that the Nevermore students leave that very instant. However, Wednesday comes up with a better idea. She suggests a challenge and the winner gets to stay at the site. Ron agrees and they quickly come up with a game. According to the rules, each team will comprise 10 members, divided into defenders and attackers. The point of the game is to get the team's specific Zephyr and return to the lookout tower. The first team to place its Zephyr on the tripod at the top wins, so Bruno and Enid volunteer to help the Nightshade, even though Ajax opposes. Wednesday and the others quickly come up with a plan here, and Wednesday is not about to let her chance to get to the bullpen disappear just like that. After a tricky and rather intense competition, Wednesday secures Nevermore's win by ziplining to the tower and placing the Zephyr first. Later, Dort thanks her for building the school's team spirit. As for Ron, he scolds his boys and prepares them to recapture the camp at night. While the other students enjoy the camping festivities, Wednesday sneaks out to check the bullpen. There she finds obituaries of outcasts who were being treated at Willow Hill. One name, Lois, stands out, but Wednesday is unable to figure out exactly who this may be. Unfortunately, Wednesday cannot use her psychic abilities to solve the mystery, so she decides it's time to change tactics to get the book from her mother. Speaking of Morticia, Dort grows distressed when he hears that she has been unable to reach her mum. He suggests inviting Morticia's mum to the school, but Morticia explains that her mum is not returning her calls and it will take a miracle to get her to come. On the other hand, Enid finally gives Ajax the closure he has been searching for. To get Goody's book, Wednesday challenges Morticia to a duello at Ciegas. As the duel rages on, the cadets and Ron infiltrate the camp while Slurp escapes again. Gomez nearly gets his brain eaten by Slurp while he showers. To save his dad, Pugsley electrocutes Slurp, and the commotion alerts everyone and they start running when they see Slurp. Unfortunately, Ron is the one who gets his brains eaten out by Slurp. Sadly, Wednesday loses a duel and fails to get Goody's book. The police soon arrive to take Ron's dead body and Slurp into custody. Pugsley is saddened to see Slurp get loaded up in a Willow Hill van, and Wednesday contemplates how nature devours the weak as she plots a new way to save Enid. She knows the avian is watching her and she's running out of time. She needs to figure out who Lois is and why Galpin was keeping track of outcast patients at Willow Hill. The scene then cuts to Thornhill arriving at Willow Hill as episode 3 of Wednesday season 2 comes to an end. Episode 4 of Wednesday season 2 starts with Fairburn threatening to send Thornhill back to the correctional facility if she fails to cooperate. With no bargaining chip, Thornhill agrees to cooperate on the condition that they allow her to see Tyler. Upon seeing Thornhill, Tyler turns into a monster and nearly kills Thornhill. To save her life, Thornhill promises to help him get out. Elsewhere, Morticia's mum arrives to help Wednesday. They visit the cemetery where a few of the former Willow Hill patients were cremated and buried. Wednesday quickly realises that the outcast's death were faked, and she asks her grandma to buy the cemetery and gift it to her. She's hoping to use this to get back at Morticia too. As they talk, a crow steals the evidence that Wednesday found at the bullpen. Wednesday tries to chase after it, but is unable to catch up with the avian. Pissed, Wednesday returns to the dorm to find Enid getting cozy with Bruno. Enid is annoyed when she realises Agnes was in the room the whole time. Now, Agnes has been helping Wednesday with mundane tasks to help her focus on the main agenda. On that note, she picks Wednesday's emails, and Wednesday isn't bummed to learn her editor has dropped her. With time running out, Wednesday summons her Uncle Fester to help. She asks him to get into Willow Hill and figure out exactly who Lois is. Eager to help, Agnes gets the Willow Hill blueprints. Fester checks in at the local inn and causes a huge mess, and the police are called as they end up finding Bianca's mum too. Given his weird nature, Sheriff Santiago calls Fairburn to give Fester a psychic evaluation. After learning that Ophelia was once at Willow Hill, Wednesday asks her mum about this. Morticia blames her mum for abandoning Ophelia after she pushed herself too far. Now, Morticia tried to save her sister, but her mum refused to find a different way to help her. Now, Hester arrives and informs Morticia of the new business she is is gifting Wednesday. Before Wednesday leaves, Hester tells her that Augustus Stonehurst is the person behind the death certificates. Morticia warns Hester to stop driving a wedge between her and Wednesday, but Hester insists that Morticia is helicopter parenting. She offers to donate to the gala if Morticia returns Goody's book. In retaliation though, Morticia decides to burn that book. After the arrest, Bianca's mum sends her daughter a text asking for help. However, Bianca is currently occupied with preparing the gala invitations. Dort refuses to let her leave until she's done, and helping her are Pugsley, Eugene and Ajax as punishment for slurp. Dort orders Orloff to watch them, but Bianca's phone keeps blowing up. Ajax stones Orloff and Bianca's sirens Pugsley and Eugene to stay and finish the work. She heads to the station and uses her abilities on the police to get her mum's case dropped. Meanwhile, Fairburn has her hands full trying to figure Fester out. He gets close to one of the cooks and tries to solve the Lois mystery. While back at school, Wednesday learns that Stonehurst used to teach at Nevermore before he became a doctor at Willow Hill. Unfortunately, he had a psychotic break and ended up being a patient at Willow Hill. Now Wednesday sends Sting to the asylum to inform her uncle to find Stonehurst. As Agnes updates Wednesday, Enid feels left out. She asks Wednesday to allow her to help, and the avian watches from afar and sends his crows to attack the school. Now Wednesday tries to warn Enid to get back inside, but it's too late. One of the birds tries to take Thing, but Dort uses his fire fingers to free him. Enid saves Thing from plummeting to the hard ground, while Wednesday chases the avian inside the school building, but winds up losing them. She ends up finding Fairburn talking to Capri instead about a music lesson for the Willow Hill patients. Sensing something suspicious, Wednesday agrees to join the orchestra for the gala. Later, Morticia confronts Wednesday about sending Fester to Willow Hill. She wants Wednesday to stop before she makes everything worse, and at Willow Hill, Thing delivers the message to Fester. Within a short time, Fester finds Stonehurst, but the man can't speak. Fester electrocutes his parrot and gets a lead on Lois. Before he can find a chance to follow the lead, Thornhill rats him out to Fairburn. Fairburn locks Fester in the same room with Slurp as punishment. At the school, Wednesday asks Orloff about Stonehurst. Orloff mentions that Stonehurst came to Nevermore shortly after the death of his wife. According to Orloff, Stonehurst had a daughter, and he built her an aviary in the Iago Tower. Stonehurst was a normie and Orloff never trusted him. To find Bianca's mum a new hideout, Ajax suggests they hide her in an old classroom. On her way there through the tunnels, they overhear Dort talking to someone on the phone. It seems the other party is worried things are getting out of control. A Thing returns with news of Fester's situation, and Wednesday sends him back to keep Fester company while she comes up with a plan. Using Capri's music lesson as a cover, Wednesday plans to infiltrate the asylum. She enlists the help of Agnes, and Enid insists on tagging along. The plan goes smoothly, and the cook helps Wednesday break Fester out. In the chaos, Slurp also escapes. Now Wednesday and Fester finally find Lois, and it turns out to be a secret outcast program run by Stonehurst and his daughter. Now Stonehurst actually faked the death of the outcast and harnessed their powers. He was hoping to turn himself into an outcast, and even managed to make his daughter an avian in the process. However, things went wrong when he tried to turn himself into a Da Vinci. After his psychotic break, his daughter Judy took over the program. During the confrontation with Judy, Fester releases all the patients from Willow Hill. Wednesday hangs back to help one of the female outcasts out of her cell, and in the meantime, Slurp starts eating the guards' brains. Thornhill uses the distraction to set Tyler free, but he ends up killing her. Knowing that Wednesday is at Willow Hill, Tyler sets out to find and kill her. He throws her out the window on the second floor, but by this point Enid has already called the cavalry and the police arrive. Their efforts to subdue Tyler fail, and he runs off into the dark. Slurp attacks and kills Fairburn, but before he kills Stonehurst, he calls him an old friend. The episode then ends with Wednesday reflecting in her last moments, and she wonders if her mum was right and she has made everything much worse. And based on this evidence, she absolutely has. Episode 5 of Wednesday Season 2 starts with Wednesday awakening inside her comatose dream to find Principal Weems in her room. She announces herself as Wednesday's new spirit guide, and it turns out she and Wednesday are cousins. As the new spirit guide, Weems thinks Wednesday needs to tread carefully after all the mistakes she has recently made. Wednesday though just wants Weems to restore her abilities. However, Weems can't do that. At Willow Hill, Judy holds a press conference to announce the future of Willow Hill. She tells the press that the police have already brought in 43 out of the 46 fugitives that escaped that night. Given the incident, Willow Hill will remain closed though, and the patients have been transferred to a different facility. The sheriff takes to the stage next and announces that they are still looking for the 3 fugitives at large. Of course, these happens to be Slurp, Fester and Tyler. According to the sheriff, Tyler is injured and might still be around. After the press conference, the sheriff gets word that Wednesday has awoken from her coma, properly this time, and she asks Judy about Wednesday's role in the events that transpired. Judy lies that Wednesday snuck in to see her uncle, and it was a simple case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Later, Judy calls the assassin she hired and insists he find patient 1938 and kill her. She is the only patient from Lois that they have not yet found. Before Wednesday checks out of the hospital, Judy pays her a visit. Judy tells Wednesday that she's already covered her tracks and the police won't find anything in the Lois lab. Wednesday asks about the mysterious woman and notices that Judy is yet to find her. On her way out, Wednesday receives dead flowers from Tyler. She tries to follow him, but Tyler hides and Wednesday winds up losing him. Back in Nevermore, Ajax continues to help Bianca hide her mum. He believes Gideon is getting closer and warns Bianca about this. He opens up to Ajax about her experience with Gideon and Morning Song. Wednesday returns to her dorm, but Enid assumes Wednesday is still hurt from her head trauma when she starts talking to Weems' ghost. Now Wednesday tries to order Enid to pack up and leave until Tyler is caught. Enid is offended that Wednesday thinks she's weak and can't fight her battles though. She insists that Wednesday is not the only capable one here, and Weems agrees. After Enid storms off, Wednesday asks Weems to leave her alone. It's now the Day of the Dead and Wednesday is determined to stop Tyler before he attacks. She asks Dort to cancel the procession for the Outcast Day of Remembrance. Sadly, Dort refuses and also adds that he won't be honouring Weems in the event. Weems is hurt that her legacy is being wiped away, and Dort also mentions that Capri will be helping to deal with Tyler if he shows up. According to Dort, Capri knows a lot about hides. Elsewhere, Gomez attempts to bond with Pugsley. He suggests that they track Slurp together while Judy's assassin is also tracking the fugitives. He manages to track Tyler, who's hiding in a sewer. After killing his master though, Tyler is having hallucinations of his dad. He kills the assassin and Slurp eats the man's brains. After his meal, Slurp comes across the picture of patient 1938 and gets emotional. Back at school, Wednesday asks for Capri's help to deal with Tyler. Now Capri once had a Hyde boyfriend who nearly killed her. She warns Wednesday that Tyler is unhinged after killing his master, and male Hydes go crazy after killing their masters and ultimately die. Now Wednesday asks if Hydes can take a new master, and Capri warns her against attempting that with Tyler. As expected, Wednesday refuses to heed Capri's advice, and she drops by her parents' place and goes through Thornhills' journal. Morticia tries to reach out to her, but Wednesday turns her down. Now Morticia senses Weems' spirit and notices that Wednesday is going after Tyler. She warns her daughter to leave Tyler to the authorities. Meanwhile, Enid vents to Bruno about Wednesday. She gets the idea to activate the Nightshade and asks for Thing's help. And after spending the whole day looking for Slurp, Pugsley and Gomez give up. Pugsley begs Gomez to attend the event at the Pilgrim World, and Gomez agrees. At the sewers, the police find the assassin's body and question if Tyler is actually working with Slurp. The sheriff orders more security to focus on Nevermore and catch Tyler. Now back at the Pilgrim World, Slurp makes an appearance and kills a few people. Pugsley rushes to help him before the police arrive, but Slurp begs Pugsley to let him go. Now outside, Gomez waits and recognises Slurp as he leaves, and unfortunately, thanks to Pugsley's help, the police lose Slurp. At school, Agnes tells Wednesday about Enid's plan to reunite the Nightshade. Wednesday storms a meeting and shares her plans to control Tyler as his new master. She uses Thornhill's notes to create a concoction to overpower Tyler. Weems tries to dissuade her from her plans and reminds Wednesday she still has feelings for Tyler. Wednesday refuses to admit this and focuses on the mission at hand. With the police diverting their attention to Pilgrim World, Tyler infiltrates Nevermore. However, Wednesday and the Nightshade are prepared. Enid lures Tyler away from the crowd, where the Nightshades confront Tyler as Wednesday tries to sneak up on him and give him an injection. Tyler is quick to notice though and turns his attention to Wednesday. Tyler is about to kill her when another Hyde shows up. This one turns out to be Tyler's mum. She is patient 1938, and thanks to a coincidental meeting with Morticia, she knew where Tyler would be. Morticia and Tyler's mum Francois makes a deal, and the deal is that Francois takes Tyler and leaves town without hurting Wednesday. Morticia is pissed when she realises Wednesday was planning to be Tyler's new monster. And later, Wednesday focuses on her book as she ponders how the past is always haunting. Now Gomez tells Morticia that Pugsley's zombie is Isaac, and she tells him that Francois is alive. Meanwhile, Judy gets home and finds Isaac/Slurp waiting for her. As for Tyler and Francois, they reunite. The episode then ends with Capri witnessing Enid turning into a wolf, even though it's not a full moon. Episode 6 of Wednesday Season 2 starts with Wednesday dancing to Blackpink in front of everyone. However, the most shocking part of all this stems from her colourful outfit and sudden personality change. The scene then cuts to 16 hours before all of this took place. We go right back after the Hyde attack at Nevermore. Wednesday, Morticia, Gomez and Enid meet with Dort and the sheriff. The sheriff is shocked to learn that Francois is alive and that she is Tyler's mum. Now she has two Hydes running around in town. Morticia explains that she made a deal with Francois and the sheriff is unsure if the Hydes will actually leave leave town. However, Dort brings the attention back to the gala. He believes the Hydes have left and their problem is solved. Now he wants to save the gala and issues a school-wide curfew. Later, Weems scolds Wednesday for messing up again, and she tells Wednesday that the vision has not changed and Enid is still in danger. To get her psychic abilities back, Wednesday must resolve the tension between her and Morticia. Her powers are tied to familial bonds, of course, and she also needs emotional clarity. Wednesday refuses and Weems calls her the weak link. Professor Orloff interrupts them though, and Wednesday asks him about Francois. Professor Orloff mentions that Francois had a brother called Isaac, and according to him, Isaac was the most brilliant of Da Vinci's and Augustus's mentees. Isaac helped Professor Orloff stay alive by designing his life support system. The professor also mentions that Isaac never cared about people, only science. Unfortunately, Isaac died in the lab explosion, but his body was never found. Now Wednesday visits Pugsley here and insists on knowing everything about his zombie pet. Pugsley reveals he saw Isaac at Pilgrim World and helped him escape. He shows Wednesday the picture of Francois that Isaac accidentally dropped. Now Wednesday orders Agnes to look into Isaac and realizes the man is looking for his sister. Meanwhile, Tyler wakes up tied to a bed. His mum reveals that it is a necessity to keep him like this, and despite his resistance, he eventually complies. However, as she turns, she secretly coughs blood. In the meantime, Wednesday visits her grandma and asks for help restoring her psychic abilities. Hester tells her about Rosalind Rotwood, a legendary raven at Nevermore. Now Rosalind used to live in the same cottage that the Addams family are staying at in Nevermore. Sadly, Rosalind is dead, but there's a spell on her headstone. If a raven recites the inscription, she might be granted temporary sight. Hester warns Wednesday to be careful. Now Wednesday ignores the current curfew and visits the cemetery to check out Rosalind's grave. Enid tries to stop her since she doesn't want the whole dorm to be punished and miss out on the gala. Obviously, Wednesday doesn't listen until Thing drops by and informs Enid that Capri is doing door-to-door checks. Now Enid rushes to find Wednesday and drag her back, and just as Wednesday recites the inscription and meets with Rosalind warns that her arrogance will be her undoing. Now Wednesday asks for temporary sight, but in doing so she needs to go through a ritual. However, Rosalind warns that if she is interrupted during this, she will pay a heavy price. Naturally, the vision is interrupted when Enid shows and pulls her back. Both girls pass out and awaken the next morning, realizing they've switched bodies. Weems informs Wednesday that she broke the Raven's gaze and has to figure out how to solve the situation, and she has 24 hours to be precise. Enid starts freaking out, but Wednesday remains calm. She asks Enid to keep her low profile, but that proves hard to do. By morning, Enid realizes that Wednesday is truly allergic to colour. Morticia offers to help her with the remedy and notices that something is off. At Judy's house, Isaac kills her and continues to regain his human form. He returns to Galpin's old house and finds a secret entrance to the basement. There, he reunites with Francois and Tyler. He reveals that he is still hoping to save Francois from a Hyde side. Even though Augustus used Isaac's machine to give Normie's powers, Isaac is sure he can fix it. He's already taken Judy's card and wants him to sneak into Willow Hill and try the experiment again. However, he must drop by Nevermore first. Tyler is uncertain about the plan but goes along with it since he wants to save his mum. Capri finds Enid in the music room and brings up the Alpha topic again. Now Wednesday is shocked to hear that her bestie has been keeping such a big secret, and on her way out, Wednesday sees Rosalind's portrait and remembers what her grandma mentioned. She drops by the cottage and goes through Rosalind's things in a seance room. She comes across Morticia's books and wonders when her mum has been writing. Rosalind's ghost appears and warns her that she has until dawn to unravel the innermost secret of Enid's life if she wants to live. Morticia is surprised to find Enid snooping around, but assumes Wednesday sent her. At the dorm, Thing tells Enid about a support group he's going to. As always, Enid is supportive and she decides to go through Wednesday's novel, but is hurt and disappointed by how Wednesday describes her in the book. Hurt, she takes revenge on Wednesday by putting on a coloured outfit and dancing in front of the whole school. She passes out from an allergic reaction, but everyone took a video of that embarrassing moment. Elsewhere, Wednesday overhears Bruno talking to his girlfriend from back home. She breaks up with him, and Agnes drops by to check on Wednesday and notices she is acting strange. She brings up the breakup and Wednesday's premonition. Enid is shocked to realise Wednesday has been keeping a lot from her, and she lashes out at Agnes and breaks her heart. This leads Agnes to attend the same support group as Thing, and she shares that she's hurt that no one sees her at Nevermore. As for Thing, he shares his desire to find out his past. Now Professor Orloff's words of encouragement cheer up the group. At dinner, Enid has a hard time eating the Addams' questionable delicacy. Morticia and Gomez call out the kids for lying, and Pugsley comes clean about Isaac. Morticia worries that Wednesday has lost her mind, and she senses another spirit and forces Weems to show herself. Now Weems reveals that Enid and Wednesday switch bodies and are in danger, but they can't help since this is something the girls must set right themselves. Morticia orders Enid to free Wednesday from the looping cages and fix everything. Back in Evermore, Isaac visits Professor Orloff and retrieves the power source that's keeping him alive. He also eats Professor Orloff's brain for good measure, and Agnes is shocked to witness this. Thankfully, Isaac doesn't see her invisible form, and she follows Isaac and sees him meet with Tyler and Francois. She secretly gets in a car's boot and sees Judy's body, and she calls Enid and tells her everything before sharing her location. Wednesday and Enid rush to save Agnes after realizing Isaac is heading back to Willow Hill. Unfortunately, Tyler senses Agnes and captures her just before the experiment to save Francois starts. Tyler is hurt that his mum sees her hide side as a curse, but is willing to do anything to save her. Now Wednesday and Enid interrupt the experiment to save Agnes, and to save her friends, Wednesday, still in Enid's body, wolfs out. She nearly kills Tyler since Francois stops him from turning into a hide. The girls leave just before the lab explodes, and after that ordeal, Agnes is relieved that her friends swapped bodies. Wednesday and Enid return to Rosalind's grave and reveal the secrets they learned about each other. It turns out Wednesday is scared to disappoint her mum, while Enid is scared to be alone. They also reveal the strengths they've learned about each other and finally switch back. Weems appears and warns Wednesday that a premonition has changed, telling Wednesday that her actions have put an Addams life in danger. However, which of the family are going to die? Episode 7 of Wednesday Season 2 starts with a flashback to 15 years ago, when Dort met Gideon in Florida. At the time, Gideon was a washed-up actor working as a bartender. As for Dort, he was managing Gabrielle. Dort convinced Gideon to become the face of a money laundering cult he was starting. Back in the present, Dort finds Bianca and her mum hiding on the school property. He reveals that he is Birdsong and the one who introduced Gideon and Gabrielle. Now he wants Bianca to use her siren song to get donations for the gala. Professor Orloff's death, though, threatens to ruin the whole event. Still, Dort insists on hiding the truth and continuing on all the same. He uses optics to negotiate with the sheriff, who agrees on the condition that the police handle campus security. Meanwhile, Wednesday tells Enid that the premonition has changed. Wednesday is turning her focus to flushing out Isaac and Francois, when Agnes advises her to start asking her parents and gives a file on Isaac. Wednesday confronts her parents for lying about Isaac, and she soon learns Isaac and Gomez were roommates and best friends. Now Gomez was always worried that people might take advantage of his roommate's brilliant mind, but Isaac only wanted to save his sister from a hide side. Later, Morticia confronts her mum about her writing and accuses her of conspiring with Weems to keep her psychic abilities from returning. She reveals the premonition has changed and asks to sacrifice Pugsley. Back at school, Bruno tries to get back with Enid, but she refuses to give him a second chance. Capri interrupts and scolds Enid for escaping the cages again. She reminds Enid that, with a full moon coming, she needs to be careful. If an alpha wolf turns during the full moon, they might not be able to turn back again. Worse, the other wolves hunt and kill them when this happens, and she asks Enid to rely on her pack. At Galpin's house, Tyler packs his things to leave. His mum's condition is getting worse and her medication runs out. Isaac sneaks into the vet office to get some more medicine, where he kills the vet doctor and performs a blood transfusion between Tyler and Francois. A few hours later, Wednesday arrives at the house and searches for a clue. Weems annoyingly rants on about how she used to be friends with Francois, while Thing discovers the hidden basement and leads Wednesday to it. Whilst there, Wednesday discovers Francois is sick and running out of time. She also spots a New England corpse moth, so she takes it to Eugenie, who suggests they use the moth to find Isaac. Ajax worries that something is wrong with Bianca and her mum, but Bianca lies that her mum's left, fearing Gideon is getting closer, and Bianca eventually asks him to drop the issue. Hester visits Wednesday and casually mentions that she's excited to break Dort's spirit. Dort has been bugging her to donate and she wants to turn his offer down in person. Now Hester invites Wednesday to spend the summer at her place, and she agrees to think about it. At Dort's office, the principal gives one hell of a presentation, trying to win Hester over. She turns him down, but Dort calls Bianca and has her use her siren powers on Hester. Ahead of the gala, Weems expresses her frustration with Morticia always outshining her. She warns Morticia that Hester is pulling Wednesday closer and thinks Morticia is keeping a lot of secrets from her daughter, which might prove detrimental to their family bonds. Speaking of Wednesday, she drops by the looping cages to keep Enid company. Enid makes Wednesday promise that if she ever turns and can't come back, she will find her. Ajax interrupts and tells them about Bianca's issue. Wednesday asks them to continue acting like they have no clue what Dort is actually up to. The following day, the Addams family is taken surprise by Hester's newfound generosity. They confront her, and Hester mocks Gomez for losing his powers. Later, Wednesday confronts Bianca and gets her to confess everything. Unfortunately, Bianca sirens Wednesday to forget, but Agnes reminds her of everything. Wednesday is not impressed with Agnes's desire to be like her. After the blood transfusion, Tyler wakes up to discover his mum has a new plan. She and Isaac want to punish the Addams family. In the meantime, Sophia travels all the way from the Philippines to win Bruno over. Enid is disappointed and officially breaks up with him. To grieve, Enid tries to get some alone time. She finds Agnes crying and encourages her to be her own person, and she invites Agnes to dance with her. As for Dort, he locks Bianca's mum in his house and kills Gideon in front of Bianca. The gala proceeds as planned, but Wednesday begs Bianca to trust her. Now Ajax rescues Bianca's mum while Agnes uses her invisibility skill to get Dort's relic from his coat. Luckily, Dort is too distracted watching Agnes and Enid dance to notice. After seeing that her mum is safe, Bianca sirens Dort to confess everything during his speech. Now Dort confesses every gory detail of his swindling scheme and threatens to kill Bianca. He doesn't get far though because Ajax turns him into a stone and a chandelier falls on him. It crushes him to pieces and he dies instantly. Now after the gala, Wednesday turns down her grandma's offer to spend the summer with her. She blackmails Hester to donate to the school if she wants to save their relationship. Wednesday is displeased though that Hester mocked her dad for losing his powers and feels hurt to see an outcast mocked like that. Eugenie arrives here and informs Wednesday that the moth is back and Isaac is at the Nevermore graveyard. The scene then cuts to Isaac asking for Pugsley's help. He uses chloroform on Pugsley and kidnaps him, and by the time Wednesday gets there, Pugsley is long gone. Episode 8 of Wednesday Season 2 starts its finale with Wednesday reflecting on how the past is never dead. She wonders why Isaac, Knight, took her brother, and back at school the sheriff has that very same question. Why would anyone take Pugsley? As of now, she's sending all the students whose parents came to the gala back home. Meanwhile, Weems advises Morticia to call her mum and ask for her help as a raven. Desperate times call for desperate measures of course, and nonetheless she is willing to help. The three ladies perform a ritual and Wednesday has a vision of her parents burying Knight back when they were students. After the ritual, Wednesday confronts her mum and demands to know the truth. Left with no choice, Morticia finally tells her why Knight has a grudge against the Addams family. Knight took Pugsley to use his electrifying ability to power a machine that would allegedly cure Francois of her Hyde powers. You see, in the past, Knight had tricked Gomez into being part of the experiment. Knight knew that the experiment would kill Gomez but still went through with it all the same. By the time Morticia realised the truth, the experiment was well underway. She managed to stop it though, but her sabotage led to the secret lab blowing up. Knight died in the process while Gomez lost his powers forever. Later on, Augustus threatened Gomez and Morticia, compelling them to bury Knight's body secretly near the skull tree. It turns out Knight had prepared the grave for Gomez, but ended up 6 feet under. Back in the present, Knight is trying to save his sister before she dies. He needed Pugsley as his source of power, while also getting back at the Addams family. It was his little way of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The morning after Pugsley's kidnapping, the students start preparing to head home. Now Ajax and Enid finally get closure, while Agnes says her goodbyes as well. With the full moon coming up, Enid can't leave just yet. She needs to lock herself in the looping cages and stay calm. Meanwhile, Knight prepares to save his sister, but she asks him for a favour. They ask Tyler to leave a fake trail to lure the police away from Nevermore. Wednesday tries to warn the sheriff that this is a trap, but she refuses to listen. A Knight corners Eugene at the Hummer's shed and gives him a box to pass to Wednesday. Within this, Wednesday finds a crystal ball, requesting her presence at the skull tree at midnight. Now Wednesday takes Sting to help her take down Knight, and unfortunately Tyler overpowers Sting and puts him in a cage. In a shocking twist, Knight reveals that Sting is actually his hand. During the fight between him and Morticia, Morticia cut off his right hand. A Knight restores his severed hand and buries Wednesday under the skull tree. Agnes witnesses all of this and runs to Enid for help. With time running out, Enid is forced to turn in order to dig Wednesday out of her predicament. She does so, even though she knows that she won't be able to turn back. Now Wednesday asks Agnes to track Enid while she and her parents save Pugsley. Knight, Francois and Tyler return to the Ioga Tower to perform the experiment again. With his right hand sewn back on, Knight can now use his Da Vinci powers. He quickly sets things up and has Tyler lock Pugsley in position. Surprisingly, Francois doesn't want to be saved anymore as she's run out of time, but believes they can save Tyler. Knight forcefully ties Tyler to the table and starts the machine, and by the time Gomez, Morticia and Wednesday get there, the experiment has already started. Instead of killing Tyler, Wednesday frees him and watches him go after Knight and his mum. Now Wednesday and Morticia free Pugsley and try to escape, but Tyler turns into a Hyde and attacks Knight, while his mum tries to save her brother and turns into a Hyde too. A fight ensues between the monsters while Morticia and Wednesday fight with Knight. In the chaos, the tower explodes before the Addams family can escape. The police arrive to find Francois dead after she jumped off the building during her fight with Tyler. Now back at the tower, the Addams family and Knight regain consciousness, and Knight tries to kill Wednesday, but Thing turns on him. In the end, Knight dies by his own hand. Thing kills him and frees himself. The following day, Wednesday asks Thing to choose his fate now that he knows the truth. Of course, Thing chooses to stick by her side, and once again, Agnes drops by to bid farewell to Wednesday Wednesday and brief her on Enid's last location. Unfortunately, they can't find Capri to help with the Enid situation. In another shocking twist, we see Capri approaching Tyler at the cemetery and inviting him to join her Hyde community. Although she's a wolf, her dad was a Hyde. This means she has the ability to be both a wolf and a Hyde. She assures Tyler that the community will help him be a part of a pack that transcends the needs of a master. Back in the dorm, Eugene invites Pugsley to visit him over the break. He's open to being Pugsley's friend, and the latter is overjoyed to hear this. While packing up, Morticia gives Wednesday Aunt Ophelia's journal. Weems sees this as a first step of Wednesday restoring her abilities by fixing her familial bonds, deciding to take a break as Wednesday's spirit guardian. Now Wednesday refuses to go home over the break though, and she calls her Uncle Fester to help track and save Enid instead. Even as Nevermore closes, Wednesday reflects on the carnage, unanswered questions and what lies ahead for them. She is unsure whether to trust her mum after all the lies she has unearthed this year, and also worries whether she will be able to save Enid and whether the girl's experience will change her. On the ride towards Enid's last seen location, Wednesday reads Aunt Ophelia's journal. She comes across a picture of a woman crying blood tears, and at that moment Wednesday has a vision of her aunt. Elsewhere, we see Hester opening a secret door to a basement in her house. Hester walks to another room in the hidden basement and calls out to none other than Ophelia. Without turning, Ophelia keeps writing on the wall, and these scribbles foretell of Wednesday's demise, which is where season 2 comes to an ominous ending. Thanks for watching, and do let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Smash a like or subscribe to the channel, your support is very much appreciated. I'm Greg Wheeler, and from all of us over here at The Review Geek, we'll see you on the next video.